Nixon lied, 45,000 Americans died. Richard Nixon was an anti-Semitic Nazi lover who led SS and Gestapo into the country when he changed the law while he was a congressman after Allen Dulles hired 4,000 Nazis to work for the CIA. Vietnam had fought the Chinese for 1,000 years to get rid of them when the French invaded and colonized. Ho Chi Minh was fighting the French when the Japanese overran Vietnam, raped, murdered, plundered Vietnam for 2 years. Churchill asked Roosevelt to ally with Vietnam, with Ho Chi Minh, to get rid of the Japanese. Roosevelt agreed, and we allied with Ho Chi Minh, who helped us get rid of the Japanese. Then in 1945, he was elected president of Vietnam. We didn't let him take power. De Gaulle wanted Vietnam back as a colony. Churchill didn't want to give it back, but eventually de Gaulle insisted, and we gave Vietnam back to the French, who lost to Ho Chi Minh in 1954 at Dien Bien Phu. By then Eisenhower was president, and he had Green Beret and CIA over there killing people, fighting Ho Chi Minh. When Kennedy came in '61, the CIA got him to invade Cuba. He got mad and fired Allen Dulles. He was going to pull out of Vietnam and dismantle the CIA. And basically, the CIA had him shot in '63. Then LBJ came in, reversed his policy, and escalated the war in Vietnam. And then Nixon said he was going to pull out of Vietnam and bring the boys home. He had a plan to get out of Vietnam. He lied. Vietnam was a racist war where we were killing non-white skinned people, while poor whites and blacks here were being drafted to die together in battlefields over there, while they couldn't live in the same neighborhoods over here. We killed 2 million Vietnamese soldiers and 1 million civilians. The rebel flag flew in Vietnam on jeeps and personnel carriers. It was an undeclared war on a people who never attacked us, just like Libya. We fired on our own ship in the Gulf of Tonkin to get the Gulf of Tonkin resolution passed to go in. In '68, John Kerry went over there to see what was going on. He didn't have to go, but he went. When he went, at the beginning of the year, there were 4,000 dead. At the end of the year, there were 13,000 dead. Since 58,000 total died in Vietnam, that means 45,000 died after 1968, the year Richard Nixon was elected. Richard Milhausen Nixon lied to the American people while he was campaigning against Hubert Humphrey, saying he had a plan to end the war and bring the boys home. He didn't have a plan to end the war. He had a plan to escalate the war. Bobby Kennedy would have got us out of Vietnam, but he was shot dead by Sirhan because he said he would give Israel fighter jets. And Sirhan was an Arab who loved Bobby Kennedy, but after the '67 war didn't want Israel having fighter jets. So that's why he shot Bobby Kennedy, contrary to anything else anyone else says. And it's in his own words on tape from prison. By contrast, Nixon was a known anti-Semite who changed identities of Nazis to say they weren't really Nazis, that they were just extremely anti-communist, which is what Hitler told them to say, to get them jobs in CIA, which CIA had Kennedy shot in Dallas to stop him from pulling out of Vietnam and normalizing trade with Cuba. Fanatical Nazi lovers like J. Edgar Hoover, G.H.W. Bush, Allen Dulles, and Ronald Reagan betrayed their country and the human race by accusing anyone who fought fascists in the '30s of being a communist in the 1950s. Nixon bombed Laos and Cambodia. He escalated the war. He went into Camp David for 2 months and then came out bombing. And we lost more guys after he was president than anybody, until Congress cut off funds in '73 and passed the War Powers Resolution Act, which Obama is now currently disobeying and staying in Libya with NATO.